Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try that again. I just heard how loud everyone was. So good morning, everyone. Nice. So my name is Nazreen Haroon, and I currently serve as the Student Government Board President here at the University of Pittsburgh. So I just want to say welcome to the 10th Annual Panther Leadership Summit. I'm so excited to see you all here this morning. Yeah, give it a round of applause, 10th Annual Summit. Great. So this is my third summit in a row. Every year it has exceeded my expectations. I walk away with lots of catchphrases that have helped me on my personal leadership journey, so I hope you all walk away with the same. So before we dive into the program, just a few housekeeping items. Please make sure that you turn off your cell phones and are respectful to the speakers. Keep your cell phones away. And I think that's a good way to be intentional about what you're learning here at the program as well. Restrooms are, if you exit the assembly room, turn right at the information desk, and they'll be on the right-hand side. An electronic survey will be emailed to everyone around lunchtime, so once you fill it out, you can show the completion page on your phone or tablet and get a long-sleeve t-shirt after the last breakout session. Long sleeve, very special, I know. And there will also be paper surveys available at the checkout. And then additionally, when you have some breaks throughout the day, we want to hear about your experience here today. So on social media, we'll be using the hashtag PanthersLead, and we want to just learn what you're learning today as well. And then lastly, I would say the way that you can get the most out of this summit is just be present, actively engage with your speakers, ask questions, and I'm sure you'll hear some more ideas on how to get the most out of this summit coming up soon from our next speaker. So I'll now take the time to introduce our interim dean, Kenyon Bonner. I gotta read this first, though. Mr. Kenyon Bonner serves as the interim vice provost and dean of students here at the University of Pittsburgh. As such, he plays a pivotal role in helping the university achieve one of its fundamental goals, educating the whole student, through a variety of programs and services offered through the Division of Student Affairs. Areas under Interim Dean Bonner's purview include student life, residence life, University Counseling Center, student health service, student conduct, student employment and placement assistance, disability resources and services, international services, intramurals and recreation, Pitt Arts, Pitt Serves, and cross-cultural and leadership development, so clearly no responsibility there. Prior to his appointment as interim dean, he served for 11 years as the director of student life and 7 years in the role of associate dean of students. Interim Dean Bonner graduated with a bachelor's in psychology and philosophy from Washington and Jefferson College, where he balanced his roles as a student athlete and a student leader. He was an Edward Moffett Wire Scholar for his achievements in the Department of Philosophy. As a 4-year letter winner on the men's basketball team, Bonner helped his team capture 3 consecutive conference championships and a bid to the NCAA Division III tournament, where they progressed to the Elite 8. He was active in several student organizations, including serving as the inaugural president of the Washington and Jefferson College Black Student Union. He completed his master's in rehabilitation counseling at Kent State University. He's passionate about his work in student affairs and believes that working with college students is one of the greatest privileges in the world. He believes in the motto, "Lift as you climb," and tries to instill his ethos in students. Please help me welcome Interim Vice Provost and Dean of Students, Mr. Kenyon Bonner.
Harmony, or agreement between who you are, what you say, and what you do. Congruence. As Chinua Achebe said, one of the truest tests of integrity is its blunt refusal to be compromised. Leadership begins with the most difficult challenge of leading yourself. For some, it might be the struggle between paralyzing fear and courage. For others, resisting temptation for personal gain and representing the needs of others, justice, and equity. If you cannot lead yourself, you will fail miserably leading others. Last night, Dr. Bernice King, daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talked about why millions of people followed her father and his philosophy of nonviolent protests. She said that the nonviolence movement was not simply a political strategy. It was a way of life. People followed Dr. King and adhered to his philosophy of nonviolence because they truly believed that what he said and what he did was in accord. If there's one lesson in leadership that I can leave you with today, it's that you ensure that your words, your actions, your deeds, your thoughts are in accord, integrity. Good morning. My name is Kenyon Bonner. As Nazarene said, I serve as the Interim Vice Provost and Dean of Students, and I am happy to be here today to welcome you to the Panther Leadership Summit. Thank you all for being here. This is a great event. It's actually one of my favorite events because we bring so many students from across the university and other universities together to talk about something that's so important and I think critical as we move throughout our life. Just to get a sense of who's in the room, if you're from the University of Pittsburgh, any campus, because we have 5 campuses, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Pitt's definitely in the house. And we're going to beat Virginia today, right? Okay. Are we beating Virginia today? Okay. Thank you. This is clearly not the basketball crowd because you'd be up at the Pete. But we're still part of the university, so I appreciate that. Okay, what other schools are represented in here? Seriously? No one else? If you're from another university, raise your hand. Or where are you from? What's CCBC? Welcome. Give them a hand. I saw a hand go up over here. Yep. Where are you from? Where? LaRoche? LaRoche. Give LaRoche a hand. Is there anyone else from LaRoche in here? Where are you from? Temple. Oh. You came all the way over here? Okay, all right. Well, welcome. Another state-related. Like we're still cousins, right? State-related schools. Okay. Anyone else? Did I miss anyone? Okay, well, welcome. A couple of words about today, and these just a little bit of advice. You are here, and you have the opportunity to hear from some amazing speakers who have done amazing things throughout their life. The beauty of this summit is that we were able to invite Pitt alum to come back. And so if you could just give them a round of applause, our Pitt alum who have agreed to come and speak. One of the things that you'll learn is that, you learn a lot in college. You go to class and you obtain a lot of knowledge, right? And all of you are bright people. You wouldn't be in college if you weren't. But what you learn as you get older and you have experiences is that you gain wisdom, right? You start to apply what you learn in the classroom. You start to sort of interact with other people. Life starts to affect you, and you begin to evolve. And so you become wiser. Hopefully, you grow wiser. The speakers that we have today are sharing their wisdom. They've gone through life. They've used their sort of tactics and leadership skills, and they've applied what they've learned in the classroom, and they're able to talk to you about how it works and how they've been able to sort of utilize their skills and overcome the challenges in life. So I would ask you today that as you listen to the speakers, take really good notes. Think about how what they're saying applies to you and how you might apply it in your own life. Step out of your comfort zone. Talk to other people in the room. You have a great opportunity to meet people that you've never met before. Talk about some of the concepts and the experiences that the speakers will share with you. Engage in dialogue. So step out of your comfort zone. And also think about how what they say resonates with you and maybe how it challenges some of your current thoughts and beliefs. Can you do that for me today? Okay. So we have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Nathan Urban. Dr. Urban graduated from the University of Pittsburgh in 1991 with majors in neuroscience, mathematics, and philosophy. Not sure how he did all of that. Following graduation, he attended Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar before returning to the University of Pittsburgh to earn his PhD in neuroscience. After a postdoctoral fellowship at the Max Planck Institute for Medical Research in Heidelberg, Germany, Nathan returned to Pittsburgh as a faculty member in Carnegie Mellon's Department of Biological Sciences in 2002. There, his scientific work focused on experimental and computational analysis of sensory processing by neural circuits in the mouse brain. He can tell you what that all means. At CMU, Nathan took on various leadership roles, including department head and interim provost, before leaving CMU for the University of Pittsburgh in 2015. Here at Pitt, Dr. Urban is vice provost for special projects, associate director of the University of Pittsburgh Brain Institute, and co-director of the Center for the Neural Basis of Cognition. Today, Dr. Urban will be inspiring us with the why to leadership. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Nathan Urban to the stage.
Thanks, Kenny. So thanks very much for inviting me here. So, leadership is a very important topic. Many people have thought about it, many people have written about it. Yesterday I looked on Amazon, there are about 180,000 books under the subject of leadership. You can learn about styles of leadership, you can learn about history of leaders, you can learn about levels of leadership, and most of these books focus on the how to be a more effective leader. Some of them talk about a leader as a servant, or a leader as a coach. One talks about a leader as a gardener. I haven't read that, I don't know what that means, but others talk about lead like a Navy SEAL or lead like a Roman emperor. So there's a whole range of opinions about how to lead. Some books are about whether you should sweat the small stuff or whether emotional intelligence is the key to leadership. Again, how to lead is the focus. It's really quite dizzying, all the advice that you can get. But today I want to talk not about the how, I want to talk about what I think is the more important question when it comes to leadership, which is the why. Why lead? What should motivate a person to lead? What should make a person decide that something is worth the commitment, the effort, the stress that's associated with taking on a leadership role? And the most important thing that I'll say about this today is that it's not about you. If you answer the why question and it's about you, then I think you should rethink it. So it's certainly not the case that you shouldn't lead because the pay is good. You shouldn't lead because of the power or authority that comes with it. And you certainly shouldn't decide to lead because it's going to be even huger than the Celebrity Apprentice. Now, in my experience, if you answer the question this way, it will only lead to frustration and ineffective leadership. So it's not about you. Leadership is about a means, it's not about an end. So that does not mean that your actions, your ideas, your motivation is for naught. Those things, taking on a leadership role means that those things can be incredibly important and can outlast your own role in that organization or institution. So there are many good answers to the question of why lead. And for me, in most cases, I think the answer comes down to the people and the institutions that need to be led. The mission, the vision of those institutions and those people, and figuring out how to empower those people to achieve those goals. So Kenyon mentioned my history, but let me just sort of quickly say something about it. So I grew up outside of Columbus, Ohio, came to Pitt in part because of a scholarship and in part because of some really special people that I met when I visited. I then came to the university and found it to be a remarkable place, in part because there were people who let a bunch of, I'll call myself a kid, a bunch of kids at the time think about and act on ways in which we could try and make the university better, especially better for academically motivated students. From Pitt, I went to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar and then came back to Pittsburgh to do my PhD in neuroscience, and then left again for Europe to go to the Max Planck for medical research in Heidelberg, Germany, to pursue my scientific career, the next step in my scientific career, and again, met some amazing people who were real leaders in their field, including I had the opportunity to work with a Nobel Prize winner, Bert Sackman. So then I left Heidelberg and I came back to Pittsburgh, this time to CMU, another really great and interesting institution, and was there for 13 years before coming over to the University of Pittsburgh just a few months ago. And so you can see that I have a certain affinity, a certain affiliation for universities. I'm a sort of academic lifer at this point. I've spent more time in universities than out of universities in my entire life. And in those roles at universities, I've been able to gain some understanding as to how it is that universities work and how it is to make them work better. So that's why I began to choose to lead. In many cases, faculty are skeptical about taking on leadership roles in their universities. Sometimes leading faculty is described as herding squirrels. I don't think this is quite right. Faculty are much smarter than squirrels. And as far as I know, squirrels don't get tenure. So leading faculty is a challenging enterprise, especially when you're trying to lead a university to make changes and to change the direction in various ways. So why did I decide to do this? I decided to do this because I think universities are among the most important institutions in the world. American universities in particular are widely viewed as the gold standard. Across the world, American universities are thought to be the pinnacle for places that create, that are engaged in human development, that are sources of creativity and innovation. Italy is known for suits, Canada is known for maple syrup, and America is known for its universities. So if you want to have a good country or a good city, you need to make great universities. In the past few years, I've had the opportunity to travel to a number of places, including China and the Middle East, to talk to people in government, people in universities, people in the for-profit education sector, about what it is, what's the special sauce that makes American universities so effective at educating, so effective at innovating, and so effective at creating opportunities for people. People in these countries want to know because they want to replicate it. In Qatar and in China, the governments have launched efforts to literally build small cities to house American-style universities. This is a testament to the importance that they see for educating their populace, for creating centers of innovation and excellence. I also think that American universities are at a critical point in time right now. There are a number of trends which have the potential to reshape American universities over the coming decades. One of those trends is technology. Technology is permeating education in a way that I think is unprecedented since the printing press allowed widespread adoption of textbooks. I think that's the kind of impact that technology could have over the next 10 years. The country and the world are increasingly looking to universities as sources of innovation, sources of ideas. Many companies and whole industries are decreasing their investment in research, and they're depending on universities to fill in that gap, to determine where the new ideas, the new initiatives, the new products, the new visions for the future will come from. On the other hand, good education is becoming increasingly valuable. In 2014, one survey estimated that college graduates have a lifetime earning potential which is 100% more than non-graduates. In the 1980s, that number was about 60% more. So the value of education, that education adds, the importance of education for economic reasons is increasingly important. So for all of these reasons, I think universities are a passion of mine. They're entities that I think are incredibly important for students, for our communities, for our world. And for me, that's the answer to the question of why lead, because of the role that I think universities can play. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Urban. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Marissa Williams. Ms. Marissa Williams began her career in the financial services industry, where she has worked in a management capacity for 10 years. In 2015, she joined the YMCA, serving as the executive director for the 4 locations that make up the PNC YMCA in downtown Pittsburgh. Ms. Williams is committed to creating a friendly, safe, and engaging environment for all. Ms. Williams is extremely involved in the Pittsburgh community. She recognizes her responsibility and is passionate about serving the community where she works and lives. Ms. Williams is a proud University of Pittsburgh graduate, a Pittsburgh Magazine 40 Under 40 alum, and serves on the board of the Imani Christian Academy. Be the change you wish to see. Ms. Williams leads by her actions. She is committed to changing her little part of the world for the better. Ms. Williams is a native of Media, Pennsylvania, and she is the proud mother to Eugene Williams IV, who is 4 months old. Ms. Williams will focus her talk on turning your passion into a paycheck, so please join me in welcoming Ms. Marissa Williams.
Modern technology sometimes fails us, but we always have this, right? So, real quick question for all of you, and thank you so much for that introduction. How many of you like money? By raise of hands. The ones that are not raising your hands, you're lying. It is too early on Saturday morning for that, right? 2 hands in the back, I received that. So, like she said, I spent 10 years in banking, and it was very much by what I like to say mistake. So, I was a student, much like all of you, and I needed to pay some bills. So, what did I do? I got on a bus on a Wednesday morning when I didn't have class until 2 p.m. at 8 a.m. for an interview. And I was dressed to the nines, ready to go, interviewed at National City Bank, which is no longer, now it's PNC. And I got there, and Mitch, who was the branch manager, said, "You know what, Marissa, you're overqualified. I'm not going to be able to hire you." And I looked at him and said, "Are you kidding me? They did not prepare me for this at the Career Services Center. Are you serious? I don't even know what to say to you." I said, "With all due respect, I am a senior in college, and I haven't graduated. I don't have a degree. What do you mean I'm overqualified? All I want to do is count your money and give it back to people." And he said, "Well, what do you want this job for?" And I said, "I'm thinking this is a trick question." He said, "No, seriously, don't BS me. What do you need this job for?" I said, "To pay some bills. I got 6 months left." And he said, "You're not going to be happy here, so I'm not going to be able to hire you." So I get back on the bus. I'm hot. I got up at what time in the morning to come here, and I'm walking away without a job, and I knew I would have killed it. I would have been an awesome teller, right? So I get back home. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. National City wants to fly me out to Chicago to interview me for a retail management position, which would be a full-time job, making pretty decent 5-figure salary right out of college. I said, "What? Who called you?" They said, "Mitch sent us your resume." I said, "Mitch, all right, my man," right? Mitch was my friend after that. So I flew out to Chicago, interviewed with 3 bigwigs, and I got the job, right? So I fell into banking. It wasn't on purpose, right? Loved it for the first 8 or so years, continued to progress in my career, came back to Pittsburgh, and became a VP at Citizens Bank, and I got bored. I thought I was doing something that was helping people for a while, and then it just kind of got stale. So I said, what do I need to do? Now, during my career, I'll rewind a little bit, I was doing a lot of volunteer work. How many of you know who the Urban League is? All right, a couple folks. So I was involved with the Urban League of Pittsburgh. I became their chapter president of Pittsburgh, grew their membership by 500%, was really feeling like this is awesome. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be empowering people and helping people learn about what they need to do to help them become better individuals and how to help themselves, right? But nobody was paying me for that. That was all volunteer. So I go to Citizens during the day, and then I do Urban League work as my second job, right? Not really feeling fulfilled at Citizens, so what do? I get more involved in the community. I sit on a couple different boards. My boards became my kids, right, before I had kids. Now that I have a kid, I pulled back a little bit, as you can hear in my resume. And so now I only have one, but that one speaks to the things that I'm passionate about, and that's helping kids and families. The why came about because Kevin Bolding, who is the now COO, heard about me, don't know how, I think he stalked me on LinkedIn now that I see how he finds people for my board. And he said, you know what, I want to have coffee. And I was so prepared to tell Kevin, you know what, no, I can't add one more board to my responsibilities. I'm just not going to be able to do it. At the end of coffee, he offered me the position that I had said at 25 years old, when I was married and had a kid and wanted a little bit more flexible schedule, I wanted. He offered me the executive director position at the PNC YMCA, running the 4 downtown locations. I'm looking at him like, you know I've never run a nonprofit before. Yep. Well, then why do you want me to do this? It's because of what you did when you weren't at work. So, let me quickly jump into what I'm supposed to be talking about. Your passion into a paycheck. Now, the first thing that I need to ask you all is, how many of you, without a doubt, know exactly what your passion is? Those same people, keep your hands raised high, you should be proud about that. Those same folks, how many of you can articulate your passion in 10 words or less? Okay, some hands went down. Awesome. Okay, thank you. So, the first key to turning your passion into a paycheck is identifying your gifts. Now, let me be very clear. Your passion and your gifts might be 2 completely different things. I personally love to sing in the car by myself. Okay? That would not be a gift that I have. That might be a passion I have by myself, but if you were in the car next to me and happened to roll down your window, you would not think I belong on America's Next Top, what is it, Idol, whatever. They have so much stuff. The Voice, okay? I want to be The Voice, just so Pharrell can pick me, right? It wouldn't happen. I would be embarrassed, right? Now, what my gifts are, I can sell water to a whale. Easy. I could sell you something that you had no idea that you ever thought that you needed. That's something that I'm able to monetize, right? Now, that one thing, you have to identify your gift. The second thing you need to do is identify the vehicle in which you will give your gift to the world. Now, for me, communication was one of my gifts. Now, how I was going to do that, more often than not, throughout my career, was going to be through speech. So it was either giving a speech in a room, talking to people at community service events, talking to and managing my leadership team through the Urban League Young Professionals of Greater Pittsburgh. I had to do a lot of talking in front of a lot of people so that they could understand what my organization was about, and more so what I was about, right? So you have to get a little bit uncomfortable, because even though your passion might be something and your gifts might be something, the vehicle in which you're going to use it to get there, you might not be completely comfortable with. I had to speak in a room at Heinz Field in front of Susan Taylor, who is the editor, or past editor, of Essence magazine in my 20s. I was scared to death. I'm like, I've been reading your magazine since I was a teenager, and you're sitting in my face and expecting me to say something epic. It worked, right? I did it. I rose to the challenge, but I was terrified. So thinking about that, the next thing you have to do is make sure that while you've identified your vehicle, you've identified your gifts, the next thing you need to do is figure out, who are you going to serve? Who's your audience? Now, I asked you guys before, how many of you can identify who your audience is and what your passion is in less than 10 words? My job is to help empower people, and more importantly, women and children, as the executive director of the PNC YMCA. So what I'll leave you with, in the end, know that you're wired to excel in a very specific and powerful way. Delineating between what you believe your passion is and what your innate gifts are the keys to cultivating a career that empowers you to do what you love, what you're good at, and most importantly, what people will pay you for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marissa. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Nosakari Griffin L. Dr. Nosakari Griffin L. Sr. is a professor of philosophy of education. He was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's the husband of Eliada Griffin L, and the father of 2 sons. As a youth, his mother provided him with speeches, biographies, and documentaries about African and African American history. Learning about the history of his people motivated him to want to become a leader. This motivation led him to join the Philadelphia Freedom school movement, where he was trained in servant leadership based on the civil rights movement. The Freedom School's training served as a foundation that he built a life towards serving oppressed people of African descent across the world. When Dr. Griffin L. entered Lincoln University as a member of the class of 2005, he advanced his understanding about African people by majoring in history with a focus on Pan-Africanism. In 2003, he was elected as the first write-in candidate and sophomore to serve as student body president and student trustee. His service as the student body president focused on academic excellence and unity between African and African Americans. Inspired by his time as student body president, he enrolled at the University of Pittsburgh School of Education Leadership Master's Program, and later in the Social and Comparative Analysis in Education in PhD program. For his doctoral study, he developed a philosophical framework rooted in self-reflection and critical action in society. In 2011, Dr. Griffin L. graduated from the University of Pittsburgh with his PhD and sought to use aforementioned framework to aid high school students in developing their dreams. Upon graduating from the University of Pittsburgh, Dr. Griffin L. joined the Pittsburgh Public School District, where he taught leadership to African American males using the framework from his doctoral study. 2 years later, he was appointed Lecturer of Community Outreach at the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business. He was tasked with creating an entrepreneurial development program for aspiring entrepreneurs living in the townships. Dr. Griffin L.'s belief in the development of a better Africa goes beyond theoretical proclamations. Early in 2015, students led protests demanding South African universities adopt inclusive policies, which would provide greater educational access to people from oppressed backgrounds. Dr. Griffin L. joined the cause by organizing academic and administrative staff to ensure that the meaningful change occurred at University of Cape Town. His colleagues described his work as pivotal in the making of the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business an inclusive institution that serves the needs of African people. Dr. Griffin L. lives by the following quote: "If we're going to change the world, then we have to develop dreams of individual fulfillment and social consequence." Dr. Griffin L. will focus his talk on global leadership, so please join me in welcoming Dr. Nosakari Griffin L. to the stage.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was a great introduction. As the young lady said, my name is Nosakari Griffin L., and I wanted to start off my presentation with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In his classic speech, "Where do we go from here?" he says towards the end of the speech, "An edifice that produces beggars needs to be restructured or reborn." Now, essentially what Dr. King is saying is that a system that continuously oppresses people or creates an oppressed group of people needs to be changed. And if it can't be changed, then it needs to be deconstructed, and something new must be built in its place. In South Africa, October, I believe, 19th, I'm home watching my sons, and I turn on the news. And on the news, there was a group of students at a university by the name of Wits in South Africa. The university students decided that they could no longer live in a society that provides education as a privilege to the elite in that given society. So they said, you know what? We're going to shut our university down. They shut it down. National television stations are at this university saying, "Why are you shutting down a university?" And the people said, if we don't have an education, if the best and the beautiful minds of our society aren't given the opportunity to learn, then guess what? We'll continuously be in this situation of underdevelopment. As an academic, we're always told that, hey, you live in the ivory towers. Now, for the most part, that means, guess what? We don't interact with society enough. So, as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, what type of things do I talk about in class? Hey, we need to assist in the development of a better world. Use your dreams to make the world a better place. And at that moment, guess what I said? What am I doing as Nosakari Griffinell? My wife comes home. We have a great discussion. I'm like, babe, you missed it. And this guy said this, and this lady said this, and oh, man, it was so amazing. I was so hyped. Went to sleep that morning, woke up, and I looked at my Twitter feed, and the only thing I kept on seeing is fees must fall and outsourcing. Fees must fall and outsourcing. And so I clicked on one of the, what do you call it, the Vine video things. You know, I'm kind of old now. I have no idea what a Vine is, but the quick video 15-second thing. And there were students protesting at my university at the time. And students were saying fees must fall, meaning that it is unjust to raise tuition on people from disadvantaged backgrounds. They were saying end outsourcing, meaning that it's unjust to hire workers and not give them a living wage. Students and workers didn't see their struggle as mutually exclusive. But they said, if we're going to make a better world, then guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to side with the workers. And the workers said, if we're going to make a better world, we're going to have to side with the students. So as I'm watching this 15-minute clip, I hear a young woman say, kill us. Because if you take away our education, we don't have anything. They were saying education is a human right, not a privilege of the elite. How does this relate to global leadership and stepping into your world? Well, these students who were fighting weren't just the C- students, the students who were just trying to get over. These students were students from privileged backgrounds: black, white, straight, gay. Everybody saying, guess what? We have to make the world a better place. And as I sat there as an academic, once again, I said, what am I willing to do? Now, this is a quick question that I want you all to think about. What are you willing to sacrifice to become a leader? Because trust me, it's a sacrifice. Now, in some cases, people might literally unfriend you in real life. I'm not talking about Facebook. People might look at you side-eyed. Or, when you walk down the hallways of your institution, people might ignore you because they don't like the stance that you took. But, as Martin Luther King said, you should do right, not because it's right to do in the eyes of others, but you should do right because by doing right, you are in a majority, in some cases, of one. And what does that mean? You're doing good because it's the right thing to do by your principles. Now, for spiritual folks, we say it's the right thing to do because I believe in God. But at the end of the day, stepping out into your world means, guess what? Having as Kenyon said, having a harmony between what you say and what you do. Students were willing to give up everything, being willing to get kicked out of the university, literally being locked up by the police because they believed in the cause to make the world a better place. Workers, literally, standing up for each other and the students, were literally willing to give up the opportunity to put food on their tables. Now, you might think worker in the context of an American context. Yeah, the people who are the janitorial staff, you know, they have a good wage. But in South Africa, people will come to the university and literally go home to the shacks. So going back to the key question, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because if you're not willing to sacrifice anything, then leadership might not be for you. But if you are, you have to seriously think about that sacrifice. As an academic, I made a conscientious decision to side with these students, to side with these workers. And the result was me not get my contract renewed. The result was me being seen as the outcast. But one of the things that I can always say is that I stood by what I believe in. And as that old biblical parable says, man shall not eat by bread alone. If we truly believe in making the world better, then we have to take the stance to do so. Because if not, as Barack Obama said 8 years ago, now, doesn't mean you have to be a Barack Obama supporter, right? Are we going to make the world that should be? Because if we are, then that means being present in the world that is. And in being present in the world that is means living out your principles through actions. Working with other folks. Working with the most disadvantaged people of our society. Because when you do that, then that's stepping into your world. Thank you.
I don't know why I have to reach up in the sky to grab that microphone. Thank you, Dr. Griffinell. Our next speaker is Dr. Deborah Thompson. Dr. Deborah Thompson is the owner and principal of Deborah Thompson, LLC, and holds an adjunct faculty appointment as an assistant professor at the University of Pittsburgh School of Nursing. She is a 3-time alumni of the university. Dr. Thompson has expertise in leadership development, patient safety, and quality improvement. She has extensive experience in using industrial models in healthcare to improve safety, quality, and care outcomes. Currently, she works with a variety of healthcare organizations nationally and internationally to apply these principles. Her research interests are patient safety, care redesign, and the role of frontline leaders in healthcare delivery. As the Chief Nursing Officer with the Pittsburgh Regional Health Initiative, Dr. Thompson led a project co-funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the Jewish Healthcare Foundation to prepare frontline leaders as change agents, and worked on an agency for healthcare research and quality team to identify the challenges senior leadership faces in implementing a patient safety agenda. Dr. Thompson has held a variety of administrative roles in both academic medical centers and community hospitals. She has co-authored multiple articles on organizational transformation, work redesign, and patient safety, as well as presenting internationally and nationally. Her work with industrial models in healthcare is featured in the Shingo Prize-winning book, The Pittsburgh Way by Nida Grunden. Dr. Thompson serves as patient safety and administrative advisor to Qualis Healthcare Solutions Incorporated. She's a member of the American Organization of Nurse Executives and served as a member of the Foundation Education Committee and the Patient Safety and Quality Committee. Dr. Thompson is past president, ADA chapter of Sigma Theta International, and is the current chair of the Research and Clinical Projects Committee, ADA chapter Sigma Theta Tau International. She is a member of the board of directors of the University of Pittsburgh Alumni Association and chairs the Advocacy Committee. Today, Dr. Thompson will discuss Leadership is Learning. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Deborah Thompson to the stage.
Thank you for the warm introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here with this distinguished panel. I'm a different leader today than I was in the past, and I will tell you each of you will be a different leader in the future than you are today. Leadership is about engaging people and processes towards a collective aim, and leadership is no longer a formal position. Each of you is a leader in your own right, whether it's in a club, a sports team, a professional organization, we are all leading every day in our roles. But to be as effective as a leader, you need to know how to engage others, lead them, but to do that effectively, you need to know how to change yourself. When we look at what people are leading in today, it's an area of complexity and a rapid pace. So when we look to the 21st century, what leadership skills are needed? We need to be able to manage effective relationships, work on cross-disciplinary teams. We also need, again, to be able to lead change. But more importantly, we need to create environments that learn and learn ourselves. When I think back to when I was a baby nurse leader, you know, first thing you get a leadership job, you get to tell people what to do, right? And you think they're going to listen to you. Well, they don't. And then you're back in your office scratching your head. And what you realize that the people that you're working with, when you engage them, respect them, and help them learn, are much more effective. In fact, science is showing where we have environments where frontline staff is engaged in taking care of patients, they're more satisfied and care is improved, and we have better outcomes for our patients and they're safer. So how do you become a learning leader? Let me ask you a question. How many people in here think that your intelligence is fixed, your personality characteristics and your talents are all fixed and you can't get any better? Wonderful. You all have a growth mindset. In case you thought otherwise, I can tell you a growth mindset can be learned. So what we do when we have that growth mindset is we listen to others, we engage with them. We don't judge. We encourage debate and dialogue. And when you create that kind of leadership environment, you're really creating what's called a learning organization, where you take knowledge, where you take information, internalize that, and work to change behavior and outcomes for improvement. The other thing that you can do as an effective leader and as a learning leader is focus about your bright spots. We heard several people already talk about what are you passionate about. And your bright spots are what you're good at. So you need to pick one that's important to you in the organization. Then you think about cross-training, because what we know is we can't be all things to all people. We're not good at everything. Like statistics is not my gift, trust me. I always am the person that really needs to work extra hard. So what are you good at? Let's say I said relationships are important. So what else do you need to do to manage effective relationships? Well, I need to learn to listen, so I work to improve my listening skills. I need to encourage diversity and inclusion. So how do I get better at asking different people what they think and bring those thoughts to the table? And finally, I need to develop people, because people feel valued when they're developed. So if you put all of those skills together, you really enhance your bright spots. So you say, well, how do I find out what my bright spots are? Ask your peers, ask your mentors, ask your faculty. What do you see in me that I'm very good at? Or the other thing, if there's one thing that I could learn to do better that would really make me a more effective leader, what is it? And work on that. The other thing you need to do is you have to own your own leadership. A long time ago, people felt when I came to Pitt or I went to work for PNC, I needed to have them develop me. That's no longer the case. You need to own your own leadership. So you need to be an architect and you have to have a plan. And so you say to yourself, you look in the mirror and you want to be a lion leader. You want to stand out in front of the pack, but you really feel like you're that baby cub. So how do I get good at that? You become very mindful of what you're doing. What is it that I need to do? What's my approach? What steps am I going to take to move myself forward to learn in that environment? And you then begin to develop that self-awareness of what's happening out there. What am I hearing? What am I thinking? A lot of my work involves taking care of people and helping them solve problems at the point of care. So while I'm working with them, I have to not only be thinking about what problem are they trying to solve, but are they learning to feel safe, that it's okay to speak up if I have a problem? Because in some organizations, it's not okay to have a problem. So what else am I teaching? Then you reflect on that on a daily basis. And when we reflect, we need to think about, and what do you guys think about reflection? Is that something you do? Because when I first learned how to reflect, I was a very busy person, and I would say, I reflect in the shower. What more do you want? And it really is a formal process where you think about, what did I set out to do? What happened? What should have happened? And what's different about what it is that I learned? And why didn't it go as I planned? And you can take those and make life lessons by being very mindful of your lived experiences on a daily basis. You can learn a lot in leadership, and you learn about other people. You know, one of the things I'll share, I was very good at talking with staff when things were good, but when people ask you really tough questions, I got a little nervous. So what I discovered is the chief nursing officer in one organization I was working at was very good at dealing with tough questions. So I went to the town hall meeting and watched her and learned. So take advantage of those opportunities. The other thing that I will tell you is take care of yourself. You work hard, and what science is beginning to show us is if we give people time to think in the work world, they do better and take time to think. So take care of yourself. And so what I ask you to think about today is, what can you learn from what you're hearing today to improve your own leadership? What small change can you make that will have an impact on you? And I thank you. I tell everybody, I have a better life because I went to the University of Pittsburgh. And one of the reasons that I do is the University of Pittsburgh taught me how to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. To introduce our next speaker, I would like to welcome Ms. Gabrielle Wynn, President of the Black Action Society here at Pitt. We're pleased to have Gabrielle here today to welcome our next distinguished speaker, who also happens to be her father, Representative Albert Wynn. We feel especially fortunate to have both of them here today, as they are both members of the Pitt family, and during his time at the University of Pittsburgh, I love this story, Representative Wynn also held the position of President of the Black Action Society. Please help me welcome Gabrielle to the stage.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Nazarene, for the great introduction. I just want to say this is really weird because 2 years ago I was sitting in your spot, never imagining that I would be on the stage. So that's pretty cool. Albert R. Wynn is a former member of the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Maryland's 4th Congressional District. While in the House, he served on the House Energy and Commerce Committee, most recently as a chairman of its Subcommittee on Environment and Hazardous Materials and as a member of the Subcommittee on Energy and Air Quality. While on the Energy and Commerce Committee, Albert also served on the House Telecommunications Subcommittees. In the early part of his congressional career, he was a member of the Financial Services Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee. He also was appointed a senior Democratic whip and served as chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus Political Action Committee. Albert helped craft the Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007, in part by adding a provision authorizing $10 billion in federal grants for an energy efficiency and conservation block grant program to support city, county, and state initiatives for energy efficiency, conservation, and renewable energy. In conference, he led efforts which added almost $3 billion to the authorization for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. As a member of the Subcommittee on Health, Albert worked on a myriad of health issues, including health information technology, the Medicare prescription drug program, the Food and Drug Administration reauthorization, medical device approvals, and generic drug issues. In the 110th Congress, working with various stakeholders, he advocated for the inclusion of dental benefits for children under the state's Children's Health Insurance Program. Albert was highly involved in the strategic planning to fund construction of the new Woodrow Wilson Bridge linking Maryland and Virginia. He also secured appropriations for a major expanse of the Washington, D.C. subway system. Additionally, he obtained funding for numerous federal highway and environmental projects. While in Congress, Albert served as a senior Democratic whip, regional whip, chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, member of the Democrats' message team, chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus Task Force on Small Business, and co-chair of the Hydrogen and Wireless Caucuses. While there, he was selected to serve as delegate to numerous interparliamentary meetings involving the Caribbean and EU organizations. Currently, Albert Wynn serves as the senior director in the 12th largest law firm in America, Greenberg Traurig. His talk will focus on representing the needs of others. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Albert R. Wynn to the stage.
Thanks. Well, good morning. I'm delighted to be here, and I got to tell you, that was a special moment. All these years, and she's finally willing to acknowledge me. No, I'm very proud of my daughter and very proud of the work she's done here at the university. I am very excited about being here with you. I want to talk about representing others. I want to talk about it from my perspective as a former politician, elected official. And I want to talk about basically what I call the fundamentals of leadership from my perspective, what I like to call the blocking and tackling, not the fancy plays, but the basics. And the first thing I would say is we are talking not just about leadership, we're talking about effective leadership. Because a leader may have the microphone, a leader may be the person jumping up and down and yelling, the leader may be the person pointing his finger, but he may not be a particularly effective leader. And what this country needs is effective leaders who can get things done. We've got tremendous challenges. We've got, global viruses. We've got security threats. We've got all kinds of problems. ISIS is a problem. Income inequality is a problem. We need people, we need you specifically to solve these problems. And I thought about this morning. I said, let me get this straight. It's a Saturday morning. You could be sleeping in. You could be hanging out. You could be making out. You could be at the Pitt, but you decide to come to a leadership summit. You're my kind of audience. I'm glad to be here with you. In terms of effective leadership, the first thing I want to talk about is vision. Because to paraphrase the Bible, without vision, the people perish. So the idea is not just to get a title or to repeat what last year's chairman, president, director, or whatever the title was that you now have was doing, but to actually get some things done. And if you don't have a vision of what you want to accomplish, if you don't sit and take the time to think about it, nothing gets done. You have a mediocre program, and I don't care whether you're in the House of Representatives, I don't care whether you're on a condo board, I don't care whether you're running a little league, I don't care whether you're running a nonprofit or not even running it, just being there. If you don't have a solid vision, if your group doesn't have a solid vision of what it wants to accomplish, a better world is somewhat nebulous. Let's get a little more specific. If you don't have a still concrete vision, it's going to be pretty tough to accomplish anything. The corollary to that is something Jesse Jackson said. Leadership is a constant search for perspective. Think about that. Is my vision too broad? Is it too narrow? Are my ambitions too high? Are they too low? All of these things are constants that you have to juggle as you pursue the role of leader. And it is absolutely critical that you address that question. What's your perspective? Give you a quick example. The African American alumni was raising money for the university. We said, let's raise $1 million. We were well on our way to raising $1 million. Our leader said, no, folks. I moved, we amend our goal to $3 million. I was hesitant. I said, oh, no, that's pretty. The leader was right. The leader had vision. The leader felt that we could do more We pass the resolution, we raise the money, on and on. So, very important vision. Other thing, be a good Indian. Everyone says leadership, okay, I want to be the chief. Don't be the chief, be a good Indian. Because being a good Indian helps give you vision of how things get done, how things ought to get done. The worst thing in the world is a person who runs for Congress, has never been a state legislator, never been a county council person, never sat on city council, never ran a boys club, never did anything. They're ego-driven, but they've never been a good Indian. Be a good Indian. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you in this particular segment has to do with balancing idealism and pragmatism, because that's when it really gets tough. We all want a better world. Who's going to pay for it? We all want lower tuition. Does that mean higher taxes? You have to be pragmatic to be a realistic leader. You can be an aspirational leader and have great platitudes and aspirations, but if you don't have a pragmatic side to actually say, okay, we're going to go down to the legislature and we're going to talk to them about, how we can get this done. We're going to look at what things have to be cut to allow us to accomplish this. If you don't do that balancing, you're an idealist, but you're not a pragmatist, and I don't think that that makes for a very effective leader. Let me say a few words about personal conduct. You've heard people talk about integrity, very important. I was very impressed to hear people willing to step out. I thought that was a very good illustration of that. Let me tell you a couple things about integrity. Your word, very important. If you're in the business of leadership within an organization, your word is absolutely essential. If you give your word, keep your word. If you can't keep your word, and I just learned this a few years ago, ask to be released from your word. Go to the person that you gave your word to and say, look, I know I promised I was going to be with you on this vote. Circumstances have changed. I've got new information. Will you release me from my word? That's the right thing to do. That's integrity. The other thing, don't stab people in the back. Stab them in the chest. I've stabbed a lot of people in the chest. Man, I thought you were going to be with me. I thought you were going to support me for the state senate. And no, I'm calling you to tell you I'm stabbing you in your chest. You won't hear it from the street. You'll hear from me. Why is that important? Because that's integrity. Let me move along real quickly. A couple other things about blocking and tackling. Don't try to be the smartest person in the room, or don't try to convince people you're the smartest person in the room. You know that guy you say, something's wrong, I don't like it. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, or woman in the room. Don't be that person. The most important lesson I ever learned at Pitt, don't take yourself too seriously. Oh, I'm chairman of this, and, I'm a former member of Congress, and that's BS. No one cares about that. Don't take yourself too serious. Be able to laugh at yourself. It'll make it easier to take the slings and arrows that you will inevitably encounter if you occupy a leadership role. Let me get to the last aspect of this, because I think this may be the most important. Effective leadership requires an understanding of the art of compromise. What's wrong in Washington is gridlock and polarization. The reason you have gridlock and polarization is because no one wants to compromise. Guy from Oklahoma likes to jump up and say, I'm a principled conservative. Guy from Massachusetts likes to jump up and say, I'm a true progressive. That doesn't put food on anybody's table. That doesn't help anybody get a better education. You need a good old boy who can roll up his sleeves and say, I tell you what, you get one, I get one. You get something for your folks, I get a bridge that my people need. If you are not willing to compromise, you may be very articulate, you may make great speeches as an ideologue, but that does not make you an effective leader. We had a big debate on the House about gay rights, and the Democratic caucus was saying, okay, we're going to move this amendment on gay rights. And someone came in and said, well, what about transgender rights? And we were about to pull ourselves apart because we wanted to do it. And someone said, look, when they passed the Civil Rights Law, they didn't pass voting rights, they passed the Civil Rights Act first and came back and get voting rights. That's what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to pass gay rights first, and then we're going to have to come back and get transgender rights. Why do I give you this story? It's about incrementalism. True leaders understand that despite the revolutionary rhetoric, in the real world, you can't do things overnight. You can't do everything at once. You have to compromise. You have to work on incremental accomplishments. So at the end of the day, you can say, I have, in fact, as a leader, my group has, in fact, accomplished something. Hope you'll keep compromise in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Wynn. Our next speaker is Ms. Molly Stieber. Molly Stieber is a native of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and is currently a public relations professional at Devine & Partners in Philadelphia. Ms. Stieber holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Pittsburgh, where she double majored in political science and philosophy and achieved a global studies certificate with a concentration in the Middle East and Arabic language. During her time at Pitt, Ms. Stieber served as a Student Government Board member in 2010 and then Student Government Board President in 2011. She lobbied in Harrisburg for increased state funding for the university and was also named the Omicron Delta Kappa Senior of the Year. Also involved in Pittsburgh's local community as an undergraduate, Ms. Stieber received the Community Human Services Home is Where the Heart Is award for her time spent on homelessness outreach. After graduating from Pitt, Ms. Stieber served as a White House intern in Vice President Biden's Office of Domestic and Economic Policy. Following that internship, she worked on the 2012 Obama for America campaign, where she handled press and site logistics for rallies and fundraisers, headlining the president and vice president across the country. After President Obama's re-election, she served on the 2013 Presidential Inaugural Committee in Washington, D.C. Ms. Stieber then transitioned into the communications industry, accepting a position to work for the U.S. chair of Burson Marsteller's Public Affairs and Crisis Practice in D.C. At her current firm in Philadelphia, she specializes in traditional and social media, brand journalism, and strategic communications. Ms. Stieber continues to serve as a White House Advanced Associate, coordinating visits by the President and Vice President to the city of Philadelphia. She's thrilled that Philadelphia was selected as host for the Democratic National Convention this summer. Today, Ms. Stieber will discuss how to leverage your leadership. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Molly Stieber to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nasreen. Hello, everyone. It is so incredibly wonderful to be back. A lot of things have changed, but I'm so happy to see that there are so many familiar faces here at the university. Kenyon is your interim dean of students now. Kenyon is the best, and he is, right? And he still has his incredible team at the Division of Student Affairs working under him, organizing events like this for you all. Chancellor Gallagher is doing amazing things here at the university with Dr. Humphrey now as his chief of staff, which is so cool to see. And Sorrento's is right where I left it. Homemade ranch and all, I'm serious. So things are pretty good at Pitt that I've seen. I graduated not that long ago, so I feel like I can speak to you all as peers and impart whatever knowledge I have to you. As you heard, I served as both a student government board member and student government board president during my time here at Pitt. This taught me so much. I was able to solve issues for students, to communicate ideas to university leadership at the highest level, and I got to introduce Joe Biden one time. Just as mine were, your experiences here are important because they're shaping you as the leader you will become. So I'm going to try and take the time I have today to talk to you about how you can leverage your leadership experience here at Pitt and establish yourself in the professional world. I'll try and explain how to do this through my journey because it's the one I know the best. I used my leadership skills and experience that I learned here at Pitt to establish myself in the professional world. So let's travel back to fall of 2011. I'm a senior, nearing the end of my term as Student Government Board President, and I've just testified with Chancellor Nordenberg in front of the Pennsylvania State Appropriations Committee about continuing state funding to the university. At this time, I was, looking for a job and trying to figure out what I wanted to do after graduation, and then, it's November now, the Chancellor receives a call that Vice President Biden wants to visit the university and that they need someone to introduce him. Shortly after that, I received word that I was to be given that privilege. When I was able to introduce the vice president, after that, his office sent me an email and asked if I had any plans that summer after graduation. And I said, not yet, because I didn't. So before I knew it, just kidding, the White House internship application process is excruciatingly long. But before I knew it, I was offered an internship in the Vice President's Office of Economic and Domestic Policy. So I want to pause right here for a moment. This has been something that I found to be really important in my life thus far, and that is living in the moment. It sounds a little cheesy when I say it out loud, but hear me out. I'm not telling you to just lay back and relax and just wait for something to fall into your lap, because that's not a good idea. but don't have everything too planned. And those of you heading straight to grad school, please still listen. I promise this advice still applies. You should have a plan and do everything you can to make it happen. But sometimes things will pop up, like getting to introduce the vice president, and you should be able to be available and willing to take advantage of those opportunities, because when you do, the more you will probably benefit from them. So after I interned in the vice president's office, I interviewed for the national advance team for the 2012 Obama for America re-election campaign. As you heard, I was able to travel across the country and organize rallies and fundraisers headlining the president and vice president. After that, I worked election night in Chicago, which was amazing. And then on the presidential inaugural committee in DC right after that. So after that, I transitioned to my career in PR. So first though, let's talk about networking a little bit, shall we? Networking. It can really be the worst, and I know that. And it can be made like a little better by a glass of wine sometimes for those of you over 21. So, I know that. But I'm here to talk to you about a better way to network. Leverage your leadership experience and use the contacts that you've already built. There's also this tool called LinkedIn, right? We've all heard it. Hope you all have accounts. Super helpful. More on that a little bit. Every single job I've had, every interview has been a direct result of networking. I used my network at Pitt, the White House, friends of friends, and worked from there. I find the best way is to identify an industry, or better yet, a specific company that you want to work at. This is where LinkedIn comes in handy. So you will be shocked at the number of connections you have in industries you are interested in. So take a second and think about a company that you'd like to work at. Got it? Okay. LinkedIn will show you the connections you have in your network with people currently working there. Comb through those, and I guarantee you will find someone who's willing to reach out on your behalf. Chances are, though, that specific company probably isn't hiring now for the position that you're perfect for. That's okay, because now you have your contacts to schedule an informational interview. We do these all the time at my company. It gets your foot in the door, and then surprise, the folks there meet you, and they love you. They realize that they don't have a position open right now, but they'll see what they can do. 3 weeks later, you get an email that there's now a position open and they want you to interview for it. This is the best case scenario, of course, but I promise you this has happened to me more than once, and I know I am not a unique example. Informational interviews also give you the opportunity to get an inside look at the company for a job that you might just be blindly applying for otherwise. You may go somewhere and realize, yikes, I don't want to work there, and you wouldn't know that otherwise. Informational interviews are also a great way to prepare for real interviews. So now that I've talked about networking into the career I have today, let's talk a little bit about public relations, a slightly misunderstood industry that is a slightly misunderstood field that is applicable to every industry. I didn't major in communications, nor did I really anticipate a career in it, but following my own advice of staying in the moment, I decided to take a chance on a new industry, and it has been awesome. My current firm works in strategic communications and the development of our clients' key brands and messaging. We work to keep our clients in the media or out of the media, depending on the situation. Learning how to be a professional communicator has been an incredible opportunity, and one that I know will continue to serve me in any role. On the side, I also work as an advance associate for the White House, which basically means that I get a phone call or email whenever the vice president or president plans to visit Philadelphia. I was there last month at the University of Pennsylvania when Vice President Biden launched his new initiative to cure cancer. So I wouldn't have these opportunities now if I hadn't taken a chance and interviewed for the National Advance Team in 2012. This isn't me telling you that you need to just forget about what you majored in and go work in PR or something like that. Not telling you that, but it is me telling you that there are opportunities out there that could be perfect for your skill set that you haven't considered yet. Believe me, no one felt more at home at Pitt than I did. And I learned quickly that the world is overwhelmingly large and at times unforgiving. But you are prepared, and you will find the right job for you. Which brings me to my final section of today's talk, and that is figuring it out. And hey, guess what? I'm still figuring it out, and it's okay. I just know that you really do want stability and to be paid what you think you're worth and to work at a job that makes you feel happy and fulfilled. And just know that if your first job isn't perfect, it's okay, because mine wasn't. I knew after 2 weeks at the first PR firm that I worked at that it wasn't right. But I stayed, and I learned a lot, and then I used my network, as well as a few people I added to it along the way, to find the great job that I'm at now. So be patient and trust your instincts, because you'll figure it out. I hope this was helpful. I've had many exciting opportunities and experiences since I graduated, but I wouldn't have had any of them without my time here at Pitt. You should feel so confident going into the world after you graduate because Pitt prepared you. Your leadership experience here has prepared you. So trust that and go forward and make us proud. I can't wait to see what you all accomplish. Thank you so much for having me here today, and hail to Pitt.
Thank you, Molly. I definitely have some big footsteps to follow in, so gonna keep that in mind. Our next speaker is Mr. Penny Samaya. Mr. Penny Samaya is in his 11th year working for the University of Pittsburgh's John and Kathy Pelusi Family Life Skills Program for student athletes. Through these programs, workshops and resources are provided to assist student athletes with preparation for success both in college and life after college. In his time at Pitt, Mr. Samaya has helped Pitt's athletic department gain a national reputation in student life programming. Mr. Samaya has served as a facilitator for numerous NCAA student-athlete leadership and professional conferences and workshops, NFL summits, and is a member of both the NCAA Mental Health Task Force and the NCAA Student-Athlete Affairs Advisory Group. Most recently, Samaya also served as a national facilitator for the National Consortium of Academic and Sports, providing programs and services focusing on various life skills topics. Outside of Pitt, Mr. Samaya is the founder and partner of Life Skills 360 LLC, a consultant group that focuses on assisting individuals, community agencies, school districts, and companies with skill development through values-based training and curriculum. Mr. Samaya collaborated with the Pittsburgh Public School District to initiate the We Promise program, a campaign aimed at promoting higher education and life readiness among young African-American students in the school district. Recently, Mr. Samaya has teamed with the Troy and Theodora Palomalu Foundation to help provide life skills training through the Fa'a Samoa initiative in American Samoa. Mr. Samaya also encourages young professionals to get involved with their community as the founding president of Get Involved. Additionally, Mr. Samaya was selected to serve on the advisory board for career athletes, a resource that provides career development and placement for student athletes. In his spare time, Mr. Samaya is also a big brother for the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh. His exemplary dedication and commitment to service merited the University of Pittsburgh Chancellor's Award for Staff Excellence in the Community in 2012 and the Division of Student Affairs' Art Ramacone Unsung Hero Award in 2013. Mr. Samaya received the Alumni of Distinction Award from his hometown of Utica. In 2011, Mr. Samaya was named one of Pittsburgh's 50 finest by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, who recognizes outstanding professionals for their community service, career success, and contributions through charitable organizations. Along with the other 50 finest recipients, Mr. Samaya helped raise over $250,000 for the foundation in 2011. In recognition of his commitment to the community, Mr. Samaya was the recipient of the Mayor Luke Ravenstall's Citizen Service Award for the City of Pittsburgh and received a proclamation naming May 25, 2012, Mr. Penny Samaya Day. Today, Mr. Samaya will close us out with his talk entitled, I Am. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Penny Samaya to the stage.
Thank you very much. All right, so I had 6 points today, and they were covered by our distinguished speakers, so thank you all. Have a good day. No, but it's an honor to be here today. I love these opportunities because that's exactly what it is. It's an opportunity. We learn, we grow, we share. I want to learn as much from you as much as you hopefully take away from me. One of the coolest statistics I ever heard was that 80% of someone's opinion of us is made in the first 30 seconds before we even speak. Think about that. 80% of someone's opinion of us is made in the first 30 seconds before we even speak. How much of that is true? How much of it is right? Well, when it comes to leadership, that statistic can be one of the most powerful things that you can have. If 80% of someone's perception of us is made in what they see, which are our actions and behaviors, then what are they following? Are they following you? Are they following your emotions? Are they following your vision? Quick exercise with me real quick, all right? First, do you trust me? I asked, do you trust me? All right, take everything out of your hands. Follow me on this exercise. What I want you to do is first put out your hands as if you're about to receive something and close your eyes. All I want you to do is just listen to my voice. What I am about to place in your open palms is a piece of fruit, a round, perfectly shaped orange. You receive this orange. You feel the weight of this orange. You feel the temperature, the coolness on the outside flesh. Do you feel the texture of that orange? A little bit bumpy. It's that thick type of skin on that orange that you know came from Florida. That you don't need too big of a fingernail, but just enough to dig into it. Dig into that orange. Rip it open. Did y'all feel that? Y'all felt that splash of the juice on your knuckles? Did you feel it? Did you smell the citrusy scent as you tore it open? I want you to take your other hand, rip a piece of that orange out, and I want you to put it close to your face. Do you smell that? Do you smell that orange? Smell it. Now open your mouth and place it in there. Open your eyes. By a show of hands, how many of you had a physical reaction? Raise your hand. Meaning you felt the spray, you felt the weight, you felt the temperature, you might have even salivated a little bit because you tasted an orange. Raise your hands high. Go ahead. That's all right. A few of you, right? Quite a few of you. Well, here's the power of what we just did. We took the power of your vision and your mind and had a physical reaction to it. You feel me on that? Took the power of your mind and you had a physical reaction to it. That's what happens when you control the situation. That's what happens when you have a vision. There's other times when you're not in control of a situation, and times where you're facing adversity. And that same mental, emotional strife you feel is called stress. How many of y'all feel physical reactions when you're stressed? Raise your hand. It's much like leadership. Much like leadership. 80% of someone's opinion of us is made in the first 30 seconds before we even open our mouths. We have to show it through our actions and our behaviors. How are we controlling our actions? One of the most powerful tools, and I share this quite a bit, is how you control your attitude. Controlling your attitude, owning it. Ownership. Dr. Thompson mentioned ownership. How do you own your attitude? I'll share a quick story with you. It was pretty neat. A group of friends and I were walking into a restaurant one time, pretty packed. Might have been even Fuel and Fuddle right over here in Oakland Ave. But we're going in and we notice it's a big crowd, not a lot of servers. So we find a table, we sit down, our server comes up to us, just boom. How y'all doing? Here's your menu. Here's my microphone. And just kind of lackadaisically handed us our service or our menus and just walked off. So I was like, man, y'all felt that? She's a little cold. She ain't want to be there. It's like, all right. So for some reason, our server just kept coming up in my mind. I felt really bad. I noticed how busy it is. I kind of peek over around corner. She's got half the restaurant are her tables. So I'm like, oh, all right, let me do something real quick. So flipping through my menu, my friends are getting ready to order. She comes up to me first. So she finally comes up, notepad. All right, what do you have? I was like, let me get the double burger, triple burger, quadruple burger, fries with nachos, and cheese, and a large Diet Coke, and a high five, and a smile. You see that? You felt that? Turn to somebody right now. Put up a hand. I want you to give them a high five and a smile. You feel that? Feel that emotional connection? You all just came the reality of my vision. At that moment, that person needed something. That person needed a reaction. I control my attitude because I want to be positive. As a leader, I am responsible for ensuring that others have that same emotional connection. I am owning the fact that I need to help establish a culture of positivity in any of the groups I'm associated with. I was willing to help that young lady by just giving her a spark of an emotional connection. That's the power of attitude. How often do you go about your day and you try to own not just your successes, but also your stressors, your failures? Like, dang, can't believe I got a C- on that exam. You now internalize it and you own it, but you're totally neglecting those that you're working with. You may be the SGB president. You may be the vice president of your own student organization like SAC. But for us to be true leaders, we need to take that term, I am, which is a bold statement. It's a very bold statement. I am owning it, being accountable, willing to put away my negativities, my worries, my woes to help lift those that I work with. I am going to give. I am going to help. I am going to recognize. That's the power of ownership. That's the power of the attitude. And when people are able to have a physical reaction to your vision, that I am becomes we are this team. We are successful. We are dope. How we move about our days, as mentioned by many of our distinguished speakers, is ownership, vision. Are we still dreaming like Dr. Griffinell talks about in his research and his work? Are we finding our passions like Sister Marissa, where we go back to undergrad? I remember when she was on that bus, I was right behind her. Like, hey, this your stop, Marissa? Own it. And you'll find that we're no longer calling you the future, but you'll be stating, I am the now. Thank you all, and the next time you see an orange, you're thinking of me.
Come on, can we give our distinguished speakers another round of applause? My name is Linda Williams-Moore, and I serve as the Interim Associate Dean of Students and Director of Student Life here at the University of Pittsburgh. And I want to say how honored we are to have these speakers. The great thing about doing this and being here for a while, and Kenyon and some others in the room, some of the other members of Student Affairs feel this way, is that you get to see people who you were here when they were. When Molly was the SGB president, when Marissa here was a student, and Penny and Dr. Nosakari, I got to say the prayer at his wedding. He met his wife here. They got married here. The cool thing about it is his wife was one of our distinguished speakers. She's right there, Dr. Eliada. A few years ago, when she actually Skyped in from South Africa to do this summit for us. And so the wonderful thing to see Gabby introduce her father, how awesome is that, to stand in the same place that your father stood in, and to see the work that Dr. Urban has done and Dr. Thomas has done here at the university and the lives that and for her to say that she is because of Pitt. She is who she is because of Pitt. That is so awesome, and we hope that you took something from each of them today that would help you as you continue your leadership journey. I promise you. I remember when Molly stood here as the SGE president, emceeing this same event, and now the things that she is doing now here around the world, around the country, and how she's impacting the work that she is doing. And so you never know what will happen in 5 years. You may be standing here. I know some of you are saying, no, not me. Yes, you may be standing here as one of our distinguished speakers for the Panther Leadership Summit. So again, let's give them a round of applause for coming here this morning and spending time with us. We're going to let them, I have a few announcements, but we're going to ask our student leaders to begin to escort our speakers to their rooms. You get the opportunity now to pick one of these speakers' rooms to go to. You may want to ask, one of the things that we got a few years ago from our students who attended this conference was that they would come here, these great speakers, then they didn't have time to talk to them. And so what we have put in place is that after this session, each of these speakers will be in one of our assigned conference rooms here in the building, and you can go and have further conversation with them. You can ask them questions about how do you do what you do, how did you get started in your field of expertise, and they are willing to stick around and answer questions and to make contact. Some one of the speakers talked about networking. You know, this is your opportunity to network, and so we ask that you now, here's the thing, you got to show them all some love, okay? So if you get to a room and it's full, we might ask you to go to another room. So we want everyone to have, everybody's going to get some love today, okay? So we want all the speakers to have some love. So try, even though if you get to the room and that room is packed, try another speaker. They all have something to offer to you all. So we're going to ask you to spread out, go talk with them, ask them questions, you know, get their information so that you can stay in contact with them. They do this. They volunteer you all to do this. They come here on their own to want to talk with you and to want to interact with you. So take advantage to get to meet them. Some of them may or may not be able to stay for lunch, so we want to give you the opportunity to chat with them. Also, we want to remind you that an electronic evaluation is going to be emailed to you right around lunchtime. You know, we're technology here. You know, we sustainable. We don't be wasting paper at Pitt, okay? So we're going to email you your evaluation. What we ask that you do is fill out the evaluation on your mobile device. We will also have paper ones if you're not able to do it, but you fill out the evaluation on your mobile device. Bring the mobile device to us at the close of today, and all you have to do is show us the confirmation that you filled it out, and you get a long sleeve t-shirt. How about that? I'm telling you, t-shirts excite us around here. I'm telling you, this is a long sleeve. See, when I was in charge, you got a short sleeve, but see, they spend more money when I'm no longer in charge. You notice that, right? Now you get long sleeve t-shirts, but when I was in charge, I only was budgeted for a half a t-shirt, okay? But now, because Summer's in charge, you get long sleeve t-shirts, but just bring your phone to the checkout, and they will give you, after they see that you filled out the evaluation. And we do take these evaluations seriously. We need your feedback because we try to improve. The leadership team tries to improve this each year, and so your feedback is important to us. And I know the speakers also like to hear your feedback as well, so bring that there. Also, in regards to lunch will be served in the ballroom and lower lounge. There will be the buffet will be in the Kurtzman room. We'll direct you to that. Open seating. There will be some reserved seating, but mainly it's open seating. Hopefully you will get opportunity. Now, I know you came with people, I know you know people, but take this opportunity also to sit with someone you may not know. Invite people to your table, to join your table. It's a great opportunity for you to network with other students from other campuses, even from your own campus. I know a lot of you may not even know, each other here on campus, so use that time to network as well. Kosher, we want you to know that kosher and gluten-free will be provided for those who requested it on your registration. You just need to ask the catering staff, okay? And so we've tried to meet all those needs. And then this afternoon, we will have, we encourage you to stick around. We have some great workshops, some great presenters this afternoon as well. I promise you, when you leave here at the end of the day, you would have had a wonderful experience. So again, we want to thank you on behalf of the Division of Student Affairs, Dean Bonner, the Division of Student Affairs, the leadership team. We want to thank you for taking time to invest in yourselves on today by coming out and attending the Panther Leadership Summit. We hope you have an awesome day. We hope that you have a wonderful time and that you take something that will inspire you and empower you to continue to live wonderful lives. Thank you and have a great afternoon. You can go off to your rooms now.